So what's up, Pearland? This is Jenifer Duguay with Remax Space Center, your area local Pearland expert here, and I am with Kevin Cole, who is our Pearland candidate for mayor and past or former city council member. So I just wanted to come on here and talk to Kevin, introduce him, and let's see what's going on within our local economy here in Pearland. So, hey, Kevin, how are you?
Hey, Jenifer, doing well with all of this COVID and staying in and staying home and all of that kind of stuff, doing as well as we can expect under the circumstances.
Right.
Yeah. Biggest thing is we're healthy, and that's good. Might be a little bit bored because we can't get out and about and do too much, but beyond that, as long as we've got our health and those around us have their health, then nothing else really matters at this point.
That's right. I mean, obviously, it's more important that we are, adhering to, everyone's advice and, working from home. And I think, people like myself, we've jumped through extreme measures to be able to get the right tools to get to a virtual platform. And I think it's amazing that we've all really come together and done, we've accomplished it. I know for myself, I really jumped through obstacles and way out of my comfort zone to get to this point. So I think it's fantastic. But yes, so we're all, safe, and that's important.
Well, the great thing is these tools have been here. Sometimes people have used them, but now it's forced us to use them. What's going to be interesting is when life gets back to normal, whatever that's going to be moving forward. It's going to be interesting to see if we continue to use some of these same tools that we've been using over the last several weeks to actually increase our productivity, not just to keep our head above water like we're doing now, but hopefully to actually use it and thrive using the new tools that we've all become accustomed to. So it's going to be interesting to see that.
Well, I know we're going to have a new norm, and you're right, whatever that may be. But I can tell you in the real estate world, I think that the virtual world is definitely the avenue that we're going to have, and it's going to stick around. I mean, I've invested in a 360-degree 4D video camera, so I could do virtual walkthroughs and virtual open houses, which is pretty amazing.
Right. Yeah. Well, I've used in my own real estate industry, as you know, I'm a developer, and so I've used Google Earth and things of that nature, online tools for years. Just have to get out in the truck and drive up and down the road and look at properties. I mean, ultimately, you may have to go look at the property, but we spend a lot of time and effort on a laptop or on the iPad or something like that way before getting and spending real money on gas and everything else. So
absolutely,
the world has been here, so it's good. But this whole COVID thing is alive. It's well. It's real. That's what one of the messages I've been trying to get across to people is this is real. I personally know 2 people who have succumbed to it, which is not good.
No, it's not.
But it gives me names and a face and people attached to it that does make it real. So as a result, we've got to adhere to these guidelines that our president and the governor had put down and get through it. But hopefully we can get opened up for business here before too long.
Yeah, that would be great. Yes, I know, everybody's ready to get out there, get back to work, and be able to make money and pay bills and survive. And but it's definitely going to be an interesting lesson.
Yeah, and I think the harsh reality is moving forward. As you know, being in the real estate business, while real estate right now has been good, in fact, sales in the last couple of months have been good. The outlook for real estate is not so good right now. So, when we go through those times, those are actually great times if you're an investor to be ready and go grab what you can get, when you can. But for us on our local economy and everything else, we were already starting to see a little bit of a slide, especially on sales tax and other things, because oil has been down.
Right. Yes, and it's way.
Pearland is obviously a part of the Houston, metro area. When oil is down, it affects all of our economy. So we were already starting to see people in the oil and gas industry get laid off, not working, cutting back, people cutting back. That means less people eating out and those types of things. So we were already going to see that. Now you fast forward and you have COVID-19 happen and you start shutting down business. Well, here comes the double whammy that even somebody who was doing well with their business, now, unbeknownst to them, against anything that they've done, their business is now hindered from moving forward. So how do we survive that? And ultimately, obviously I'm running for mayor here in Pearland. And what does this mean for our local government? What does it mean for you as a taxpayer? What does it mean for me? What does it mean moving forward? And how are we going to react to this? And right now, a lot of sales tax receipts are going to be down significantly. I've seen articles already out that are being written that some of the local governments may see tax revenues down as much as 30 to 50% on sales tax.
Right.
Well, if we take that type of a hit locally, that will be a devastating blow to our city. And so we're going to have to adjust to that. We're going to have to adjust budgets to that. And I put out a video about a week ago, just talking to individuals as well as to businesses that don't wait for these types of things to happen, but be proactive. Okay, get in front of it. If you own a home, get in front of your mortgage company. If you rent a home, get in front of your landlord, those types of things. Same thing with a business owner. And to put up a lot of the resources where business owners can help survive some of the SBA loans and those types of things. Well, our local government needs to be doing the exact same thing. We won't know for another couple of months the true nature of what the sales tax hit's going to be, because it lags about 2 months. So, the March numbers, the city won't receive those until May. The April numbers, they won't get until June. So they don't even know yet the actual hit that's coming. They know one's coming. They just don't know how severe it's going to be. But we know with every restaurant basically closed and doing curbside and those types of things, as well as just regular everyday business that's been closed to sales tax, that hit is going to be pretty significant. And if our city takes a 30%, for example, hit to sales tax, that's like a $6 million hit to the city in tax receipts. So that's not something we need to wake up when budget time rolls around at the end of September and try to figure it out then. We need to be proactive. We need to know and understand what that's going to look like now and plan for it. And then, as you know, everybody will be receiving their value from the appraisal district this month. You typically get it towards the end of April. And that's based on this past January 1. Well, January 1, everything was fine. But today it's not. So next January, if we have foreclosures, have businesses gone out of business, so their inventory is gone, all that personal property is gone, and those types of things from the roll, what do you think that drag on our property values is going to be come January of 2021? So again, be proactive. We need to be setting ourselves up to go through that storm now, not waiting for the storm to happen. It's kind of like if we know a hurricane is out in the Gulf, we get prepared for it. Well, we know a hurricane, it's a hurricane COVID that has run through us, and we know it's going to have a devastating effect on our budget. So I think we need to be prepared for it and get better prepared for it. Cutting expenses, those types of things that you would do as a house or you do as a business, our government needs to be getting proactive and doing the same exact thing.
Yes, they definitely do.
Right. And
yes.
So life after COVID, hopefully they'll find a protocol cure, just like they do for any other type of illness that's out there. They'll have a protocol, type of treatment and cure that they know works. Hopefully within the next year, we'll have a vaccine for it. And so now we'll kind of get life back to normal, that if somebody contracts it, they know an exact method for for dealing with it. That's the reason why the shutdown has really been here, is because we don't have those tools readily available. And the contagiousness of it has just been, it's 2 to 3 times more contagious than the actual flu. So it's not necessarily any more deadly than the flu. It's just more contagious, and we don't have a protocol for it. So the need to do this has been needed.
Right.
The key now is hopefully we can bend this curve and flatten it out, and hopefully in the next couple of weeks we can kind of emerge from our cocoons, if you will, and start the process of getting businesses back opened and getting our economy moving again. And it's going to take a while, but I'm nervous to see what the hit to our economy is going to be long term.
I'm anxious to know. Yeah, I think we're all, treading unprecedented waters and wondering the same. And it's the fear of the unknown that's so scary. And yeah, what is it? What impact is it not just going to have across the United States, but in Pearland alone? I grew up here. I still live in Pearland. I love Pearland. And, I want to see all of our businesses succeed. And I want to see even my fellow realtors succeed. And, it's so important, So.
And one of the things you talked about, especially our small business, our mom and pop business, our homegrown business, I want to see all of our businesses thrive and ultimately succeed and survive this. But what we've got to do from the local government level, in my estimation, this is not a time to raise taxes, to take this up. The city government is going to have to take it upon itself to really understand and prioritize what is truly essential, what is truly a need versus a want. There's probably going to be some expenditures that need to be pushed off to other years. That means, just like you and I, if we can't go afford to get a new car, we have to drive that car another year or two.
Yeah.
The city has to be in that same type of mentality right now, and plan for, pushing those types of things off to a further date. We have to do everything we can to keep our businesses open, keep our businesses strong, because they are the backbone of our local economy. Okay. I know we're a bedroom community, but without the local business contributing to it, it would be devastating to be able to do the services that the city does without our local business. So we've got to do all of those things necessary to keep this alive and thrive, and do everything we can to get them to survive this recessionary time that we're going to go through. Question is, we don't know how long it's going to be there. So economists are saying it could be what we call a V shape. It went down real fast. It's going to come back up real fast. Or it's going to be a U shape where it comes down real fast. It's going to stay a little while, and then it's going to come back up. Because of the oil crisis and the oil pricing, I'm going to tend to think that it's going to be a longer effect. And hopefully it's a V shape. Hopefully it doesn't last as long as I think it is, but I think we ought to be prepared for a longer recovery, and ultimately be prepared for that. So, but it's going to take some planning. It's going to take some leadership on our city's part to lead and guide and do that. Unfortunately, there will be casualties in the business world for this. I think our restaurants have really taken it hard just in the last month. And my guess is, at a minimum, 25% of our restaurants won't make it and won't open back up. That number could be as high as 50%. But I think at a very minimum, 25% of our restaurants won't be there. And then what do we do coming out of it? I think we as a city need to be planning. We haven't even really gone into the full recession, but I think we need to be planning what it looks like and how quickly we can recover on the backside too. How do we foster those businesses to invest and put things to work to get back open, or new businesses to open, or new businesses to move here? Those are going to be critically important in later months to get to put Pearland back on the map. Okay. Traditionally or historically, the last several years, it's not been real easy to do business in Pearland. We've become a little bit more bureaucratic. I know you do some commercial property from time to time.
Yeah.
It's not always easy. we have an opportunity to fix that reputation through this.
Right.
But we've got to be intentional in how we do it. The rules and regulations that we massage and go through this need to be calculated. And then we need to exercise it and still have the best place in the Houston area to live and raise a family and work and all that good stuff. Pearland's still going to be Pearland.
It'd be nice to see if there was some sort of tax credit that would be provided to businesses to encourage them to maybe not only stay in business, but for, developers like yourself or other commercial, businesses to come
Right.
into Pearland to help us maybe rebound quicker than we would otherwise. I know there's been cities in other states that have done similar things after national disasters. And, I would really like to see something like that implemented again, because I really feel strongly that it would help our local city of Pearland.
Yeah, I think this is where our Pearland Economic Development Corporation can come in. I know after Hurricane Harvey, for example, they had a grant program to help businesses deal with Harvey and get back open and deal with some of that. That same type of approach through EDC needs to probably be alive and well. What I don't know is with the SBA loans, the Paycheck Protection Plan and program that the federal government has come out with, how much of that is going to help our local business where our local city and EDC may not necessarily have to do as much, right? If the federal government is already there, the locals may not have to do as much. But I think it's real important that we start looking at what can we do to get businesses open after a recovery or through this recovery. The guy that's sitting on the sidelines ready to invest, what needs to be done to open him back up? For example, we might take restaurants and eliminate for 1 year, eliminate the impact fees. Impact fees are huge, but they're small in comparison to what they ultimately bring back to the city. That's an incentive that maybe the city looks at. For 1 year, we're gonna do away with impact fees for restaurants. That might be enough to encourage that faster. Those are the types of things I think we need to be looking at longer term. A quick rapid response team, getting permits through the city.
God, yes, because that's very slow, and I can tell you firsthand that has deterred a lot of smaller scale custom home builders from coming in, as well as commercial businesses. When I've got a few different commercial properties that I'm trying to sell, and people are like, man, this is great, but once they start doing a little bit more research, they hear about that and they're like, I don't have time, because time is money, to sit and wait.
Right. I mean, what if you had, for example, the same plans examiners deal with anything that's brand new. They also deal with the pool permit. They deal with the porch, add on to your house. They do those kind of things. What if you took those smaller permits that are important? We want to make sure that they're being done correctly. But maybe we outsource that to a firm that just handles that. We put them on a 12-month retainer. That gets outsourced over here. That all handles and gets done over here. So it leaves our plans examiners for all new construction or new build outs and those types of things where they can be on it rapidly. And you actually put a rapid response team together that says, these don't last on your desk more than 2 days. And we got to get this through because we want sticks in the air sooner rather than later. Sticks in the air tell you and I, the consumer, that things are better. And when consumer confidence is up, we go eat out more. We go spend more. When consumer confidence is down, we save more. We don't spend as much. So we've got to get our economy moving in that direction. So those are some things that I've been, in my mind, thinking, if I was mayor today, what are the types of things I would be talking about and doing to position our city to succeed, not only survive, through this, but come out of it even better, and then ultimately thrive as a city. So those are a couple of things that I've been talking about and thinking about while I've been cooped up at home.
Yeah. Well, I know we've had a lot of time to really think. I myself have had a lot of time to talk to people, and I'm sure you probably have too, to kind of just reach out, see what the concerns are of the residents in Pearland, in the Pearland business owners as well. Yeah, I'm sure you're probably doing a ton of research.
Oh, and a lot of conversations on the phone. I've been on the phone probably more today than I have even in the last week with individuals. And so, again, getting a lot of perspective, asking questions, getting a lot of feedback. Because when you go through what we're about to go through, you got to go through it and understand and I want to be somebody that can help lead our city, even if I'm not on council or the mayor today. I mean, our election's been pushed off to November, so we've got a lot of time between now and then. But if I can be a catalyst to help this conversation move forward, even for our budget time that comes up in September, that goes into effect October 1, so be it. This is a city that I've been a resident of for many, many years, and I don't see myself living anywhere else. And so I want to make sure that we do it right and we do it well and we survive this.
Right.
Yep.
Yes. And so I'm sure because of, you've been so involved with the city for many, many years, y'all are probably having how many meetings a day?
Well, I'm from the city standpoint, I'm not sure. I mean, obviously I've been off council for a few years, but I do know from emergency operations standpoint, I'm sure they have some kind of a daily briefing that's going on. And most of the city staff, especially at City Hall, most of them are working remotely right now. They're working just like, so that's probably hindering to some extent some meetings. But the phone and these types of meetings, the virtual meetings, have been happening more and more. I never knew what Zoom was until this happened. So, here's all the new technology, on board. But for me, and I don't know how much the council is meeting and talking with the mayor, talking with city manager, talking, right now, behind the scenes, one-on-one. I can just tell you, these are the types of conversations I would be having with council members, with staff, making sure that we're pushing forward and don't get blindsided by the effects of COVID-19. I think we need to be proactive. I think we need to be assertive. I think we need to go and understand where this is headed. One thing you mentioned, the unknowns. There's a lot of unknowns, but there's also some knowns. We know budget time is going to be very, very difficult. We know that. We don't know the extent, but we know it's coming. So if we know it's coming, I think we ought to prepare for it beginning in April, not waiting until the city manager drops a budget on everybody's desk in July.
No, we have got to take preemptive measures. I mean, the only way to, be ahead of the curve is to start ahead of the curve and not wait. You don't want to be behind.
That's correct. And so, they had a budget workshop back in February, and that budget workshop predated anything with COVID breaking out. So everything that was discussed really is irrelevant because the world changed in the last month. And so, they need to be having new budget workshops, setting that tone for what, the budget's going to look like come July or early August when the city manager finishes it. They need to be giving that direction as a group to the city manager of where and what this budget's going to look like. It's going to look totally different than what they thought it was going to look like back in February. I know that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very different.
We've got to be proactive in doing that. Just like I've said with businesses, with homeowners, individuals, if you think you've got some financial difficulty on the horizon, which a lot of people, even in the best of situations with savings and everything else, this is going to be a hit on savings. It's going to be a hit on a lot of people's incomes. So if you think that's the case, be proactive. My life has always taught me, and I've learned the hard way, that you got to be proactive when you think something like this is going to happen. It's not easy. It's not fun.
Right.
But
it's very different than we've experienced before. I mean, we've experienced, an economic crisis. I know when I got my license in May of 2001, we, turned around in September, had, 9/11.
Yep.
And then so I really had to learn how to navigate through crisis. And, but this is definitely a whole different, territory.
9/11 changed the world. Okay.
Yes.
And then if you go back, I was on the council in 2008. 2008, on Friday to Saturday, we had Hurricane Ike. And on Monday, we woke up to Lehman Brothers filing bankruptcy, and the entire mortgage meltdown was in full process. So we had a hurricane, and we had the housing crisis all hitting in 2008. As a developer, I mean, it took us 4 years to dig out from underneath that. Fortunately, I didn't have to file bankruptcy, but it was difficult. But
right.
Life changed. Everything about life changed. And I was on council enough to know that changed a lot of what was going on at our city. You had to pull back. There were programs, there were bond programs, there were other things. You simply couldn't go and do these projects because it wasn't right to sell the debt when you had 800 foreclosures in Pearland.
Yeah.
So you remember as a realtor how many?
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know that we'll be that bad off, but we understand what that looks like. So we need to take that collective wisdom and history and understand where we're navigating to coming up.
Right. And that brings me to my next thing, as far as with real estate, commercial and residential, homeowners and business owners will need help with property taxes. And, there should be some sort of, we haven't heard anything about property taxes and what's going to be going on with that. But definitely, I know business owners that, I've been hearing from, and someone just posted a question asking if there's going to be any commercial programs to help with the property taxes. So is that something that's been discussed?
Yeah, I haven't heard of any. Of course, property taxes and sales tax are the two biggest, revenue sources for your city. If you look at the school district, it's all property tax. So unless they come up with an actual property tax decrease, there's typically not grants or forgiveness of paying property tax. I wish I had a better answer than that, but that's just the reality of it. So it all goes into how we do that. What I do know is it's not a time to increase that tax. So, the city has to send a message that we're going to do everything short of raising taxes. That means every line item at the city should be put on the table for discussion.
Right, absolutely.
That means we're not hiring anybody. That means there may be people at the city that have to lose their job. I don't know what all that looks like, but all of that needs to be on the table. Just like every business out there is looking to decide whether or not they can keep people employed. That needs to happen at the city as well right now. And that discussion needs to be happening and starting now, not waiting until budget time rolls around in July and August.
Right.
Right.
One of the things that I've always admired about you was that you were very forward thinking. I remember meeting you, I think when I just got my license at a business network group, and you were already talking about, the growth and the, expanding Pearland and what, should have been done. So that always impressed me. So I know that you have already put some plans together. You have what you call your Pear Plan. Why don't you explain your Pear Plan, to the people that are, listening to us live?
Yeah, real quick. I'll just say this. Sometimes I just come up with some corny ways to share a vision or to share.
I love it. It's a great vision.
So I came up with the Pear Plan, and that helps me rattle off what PEAR stands for. So number one, our government is in business to help protect our citizens. So protection is key. In fact, if there's a single responsibility from the federal government all the way down to the local government, it's protecting people. So police efforts, our fire efforts, EMS, getting to people who are in need, right?
Right.
Protecting, but that also goes to protecting property values. As a realtor and others who may be listening in, I mean, the single biggest investment that the majority of Americans make is in their home.
Correct.
And so we as a government entity need to do everything we can to help protect that property value, and not only protect it, but increase it. The city has a vested interest to make sure that it's not only protected, but also that it increases in value over time. So helping to do that. Pearland has historically had some major flooding events. Flooding has a detrimental effect on property values, so we've got to continue shoring up our flooding efforts to make sure that no homes flood in our city. So that's protection. On the west end of our town, we have a drag on property values. It's Blue Ridge landfill. As a realtor, try to sell something in the Fort Bend County area, and and so if you live on the far east end, it's important because the value that they lose, who makes it up? The rest of our city does. And so we need to do that. E is economic development, something we've been talking about. We need to increase and diversify the business that's coming into town. We need to make sure that we're bringing good, high-paying jobs and companies that are good corporate citizens into our community, so people can live, work, and play here. Not just live here and commute into Houston, but why not commute 5 miles rather than all the way into Houston? So our economic
and we were on that path, and that was
that's right.
Getting there. So that's fantastic.
And I think we'll still be there. Long term, the Houston area is going to be a great place to attract businesses into. So there's no reason why we can't continue those efforts in the years to come. A is accessibility. Our roads and our traffic and our mobility. The single biggest issue that affects everyone across town is traffic and mobility. The traffic on the east end looks different than the traffic on the west end, but both ends of town have traffic issues, and we need to continue to make sure that we have safe, reliable traffic within our city. We need to make sure we really need to upgrade our traffic signalization, a little bit better technology to help with our signalization through our city. We have some signalization, but from what I understand, it's the technology behind it. We need to continue our efforts. Our mayor has done a great job for decades bringing money in to help pay for our roads and our traffic.
Yes, he has. Yes.
And we need to keep that up. We have a great reputation through HGAC and those types of things. And so we need to keep that up. And as mayor, I want to continue to do that. I have good relationships all the way up through the state level and even the federal level that I have built over time. When it comes to traffic and mobility, helped create the Greater 288 Partnership, which helped advocate for 288. It pleases me when I go out and see that it's moving forward. Later this year, that project will be complete. So it's exciting for me because I had a hand in helping advocate and push it and to get it started. And now that it's almost done, it's exciting to watch. And then the last thing is kind of what we've been talking about, and that is resource management. The R in Pear is, how do we pay for all this? How do we not overpay for it? As a taxpayer, I don't want to pay any more than I have to. But I also want to make sure that we have good services, that we have things that people want to attract good businesses and good corporate citizens to us as well. That we have a well-rounded city. As our mayor has always said, that we're a destination city. I want to make sure that we have all the right things in place, but always want to make sure that we take care of our priorities. Number one, our police and fire and EMS, first responders, maintenance. One of the things that's been a big key to our city is how do we maintain our roads and our sidewalks and those types of things. The next frontier for our city, even though we've been growing, is we're going to turn into more of a maintenance-driven city than a growth city. I mean, the large tracts of land are starting to really be bought up, and so there's a day coming where we just won't see as much growth, but we'll see more infill growth. We might actually see some redevelopment happen over time, but we're going to become more of a maintenance-driven city than a growth-driven city. How does that look? What does that look like? I'm not saying that's going to happen tomorrow, but it is happen. It is out there. We need to be preparing today for what that's going to look like 10 years from now or 15 years from now.
I've always seen Pearland kind of modeled after Sugarland. We're just kind of more like a 10 to 15 years behind.
Right. In some ways, they took on the master plan city approach
Yes.
Decades before really anybody else did.
Yep.
They did it. It was very well planned out. It was very well thought out. Pearland, we kind of woke up 20 years ago and said, I think there's a better way that we can do it. And we started planning better than we did 40 years ago. And so we've paid for that lack of planning in some ways. But there's been a lot of good things that has happened in Pearland in the last 20 years.
Oh, yes. Yes.
I've told a lot of the elected officials in Manville and Iowa Colony and further south on 288 over the years, come and study and do what we did right and absolutely learn from what we did wrong and don't repeat it. And so you got a good history lesson here in Pearland for these cities to model after. But
right.
Now, for the most part, we do a fairly decent job of planning. Some of our older areas were less planned than our newer areas. And so you can see them in full force, how one works and one doesn't.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, I love, your outlook and, just keep it up. And I know you will.
Yeah.
But is there anything else that you want to add that any of the viewers that are watching this should know about you and, what platforms you're using also to hopefully get you into the position of the Mayor of Pearland?
Right. Yeah. So I've got a website. It's coleforpearland.com, COLEFOR Pearland.com. A lot of my history, a lot of biography and those types of things are on there. So I won't bore anybody that's listening with my full history, except to say that I've been here for almost 43 years. Was not a native to Pearland, but I've been here way more the majority of my life than I wasn't. But I did the next best thing, Jenifer, and my wife Lisa is a lifelong Pearland resident, born and raised. So we've raised 4 kids here. We've got 7 grandkids and 1 on the way.
Well, congratulations!
We have 1 due in August, so we're excited about that. But we've lived our life here. We've raised our kids here. We've planted deep roots here, and we want to see it. We're on Facebook. It's Kevin Cole for Pearland Mayor. You can find it there. We have a good following. We try to post to be relevant there. I'm on Facebook.
I added it to the bottom of the screen there. So.
And then just our normal. My daughter says I'm on Instagram.
Are you on TikTok yet?
I'm not on TikTok yet, but we do have an Instagram, and those are some things that we're going to try to do a little bit more on in the summer months. We're going to go through a protracted time, as you know, and some of the viewers may not know, but in May we normally have our elections in May, but because
right,
social distancing and whatnot, council in our county pushed everything out to November. So we've got another basically 7 months of campaigning to go, and we'll continue some campaign, but we won't be as hard driving of a campaign through the summer months because people won't pay attention to it until we get around to September. But we're going to try to keep relevant. We're going to try to keep fresh. I'm trying to come out with an economic plan. We shared a little bit of it today that our city needs to be doing, so we can be a leader, be showing folks what I think the mayor needs to be doing in the coming months. That if I was mayor, this is what I would be doing. So we've got the social presence, like I said, mainly on Facebook. Probably we'll add Twitter just to get it going and in the background and link it all together in the months ahead. So we look forward to it. I can't thank you enough for the platform that we've had here. Most people, you can go through the coleforpearland.com and get a hold of me, or you can go to Facebook and get a hold of me. I'm probably the easiest guy to get a hold of that's running for office. I'm accessible to everyone that I can be, and so just look me up, hit me with a private message, and when this is over, maybe we go grab a cup of coffee.
Right. I know.
Yeah.
I think they'll be zoomed out. And I said the other day, I was telling my dad, everyone's going to have Zoom exhaustion. So that's going to be my new word, Zoom exhaustion. We're going to be so ready to go out physically with friends and, peers. So hopefully that'll be sooner rather than later.
And I think we will be. I think you'll see guidelines coming out later this week. I think from the governor, he's going to release some guidelines and standards to open everything back up. But I don't think you'll see our state and everything start opening up until into May. Let's just pray that this thing gets taken care of. Let's just pray that God just takes care of this virus and does away with it. Nobody needs to needlessly die or get sick from it.
No.
We need right now, our biggest focus needs to be on our families, making sure that our community is taken care of, and then those that are most vulnerable to this disease need to be cared for and watched out for. That's the biggest message we're trying to send right now. Is we'll have time for the campaign, we'll have time for all of that in the fall, but right now it's dealing with this virus.
Yes, I agree 100%. And support our local government to our state and national government. So hopefully, we just get past this, like I said, sooner rather than later. But I would love to have you back on later, and let's see what's going on. Hopefully there's nothing, there's no other news prizes anyway, and see a light at the end of the tunnel. But I'm with you. I think right now we're all praying, but there has been a silver lining, right? Like, I think a lot of people have realized that, hey, my family really is the most important thing. And maybe I shouldn't have focused so much on work. And so, because I've talked to a lot of clients that have said that, how much they've enjoyed, spending more time with their kids and their spouses. And hey, one guy told me, he was like, oh yeah, I realized I like my wife. And we just started laughing. I was like, that's a great thing that, you're cooped up right now and you realize you like her. Of course, they've been married, what do you say? I think 42 years. So
that's good. We were eating dinner on the patio just the other day, and our daughter still lives at home, and she's the youngest of our 4 kids. And I said, how many times have we actually sat down to the dinner table and eaten together in the last 3 weeks versus the previous 6 months? And so that's a byproduct, I think, that this is going to have, is families coming together and all of that kind of stuff, which is great. That can help strengthen our families. I think that's a great thing. And our community really has rallied together. And one of the things that I know, and Jenifer, you've grown up here, so you know Pearland.
Yep.
And one thing that I know about Pearland is we take care of our own, we take care of our city, we take care of our community. Mm-hmm. I have never known a need in Pearland to go unmet as long as the need is known. If you have a need, shout it. Let us know. Don't be ashamed or embarrassed or anything like that. If you got a need, let it be known. There are agencies out here, there's individuals out here that want to help people. And that's our community. That's the Pearland that I know and I love and I want to be a part of and continue to foster. That's why we still have small town values. I always tell people we can be 1 million in population, but as long as we take care of people, it's a small town, because small towns take care of their own. And that's what we're going to continue to do. You're seeing it now. You're seeing seniors being fed. You're seeing people that are in need, helped out with groceries and those types of things. And if we do go through a protracted downturn in the economy, I mean, you're going to see that the opportunity to help those in need are going to be there. And so my message to other people, that's when I say, take care of your family, take care of your community.
Yes.
There's people in our community that need us, and we need to be there for them.
Yes, I think, like you said, Mayor Reed, he has done a great job, creating that culture. And, nowadays, I think we hear that term a lot more loosely than we did in the past. But, he did create that, because I tell people the same thing, that, Pearland is large, and we're the third fastest growing city in the nation.
Yeah,
But yet, you still go to the store and you run into everybody. I mean, right before Big Humphreys, closed,
right.
it was just crazy how many times, you would see your entire class that you graduated with. It was always a reunion. It didn't matter if you go to Kroger. It didn't matter if you went to Central Texas or Dillon's or wherever. You ran into everybody.
You do, and you still see people that you know, and that's why I say it's the largest small town in America.
Yes, I love that. That's a great slogan.
Yeah, it's the largest small town in America, and we're small town because we take care of each other. And,
I agree, yes.
and that's why I say we could grow to be super huge. Not saying that we will, but if we did, and we still take care of each other, it's that small town feel, that small town, not mentality, but small feel, where we get to know our neighbors, we get to know, people across the street, and we generally like them. Not just that they're there, but we like our neighbors, and we get along with people and all those kind of things. That's the Pearland that people were attracted here to.
Yes. What's interesting is JJ Watt posted a video to the students at Pearland High School, particularly, I think it was geared to the seniors, because they're missing out on, the graduation and prom and all of those things. But what he said about Pearland was how he had such a connection to us. Yes, he lived here, but there was a reason why he lived here and immersed himself into our local culture and fell in love with it.
He did. And that's what attracts people here. And there's no reason post Mayor Reed that we can't continue that. Those of us that have been here, lived a long time here, we know and understand what that means. And I've told people this. I don't care if you've lived here for 1 year or if you've lived here for 50 years. You're from Pearland. You're a Pearlander. And we want you here. We want you to contribute. We want you to be a part of it. But be a part of the community and get involved. We are stronger working together than we are individually working individually. So even our diversity, we're diverse along racial lines, along political lines, along religious lines, and all those kind of things. Even in our diversity, we're strong because we have so many different perspectives that we can draw on, so many different perspectives that we can learn from. People who have lived around the world that live here, and we can draw on that experience. That's nothing but positive for us. But what makes us special is how we take care of each other. And that we have no excuse but to continue that moving forward.
Yes, I agree 100%. Well, I greatly appreciate everything you have shared with us. And hopefully everybody will remember your Pear Plan, which I love. I don't think it's corny at all, Kevin. I think that it was genius. Sometimes there's genius ideas that come out of what sometimes we feel as corny. I know I do the same thing.
Well, it's something we can brand and we can help do on that side of the campaign, but it all makes sense.
But it's a vision,
Part of our vision. That's right. And obviously things are changing. COVID is changing so much of what the campaign is about, but it all goes back to PEAR, protection, economic development, accessibility, and resource management. It all flows together. So, Jenifer, I can't thank you enough for the time and effort that you've been putting into this. I wish you well on all the efforts that you're doing. Other small businesses, this is a great venue to get in front of people. And what a great testament. I just hope it only grows and gets larger, becomes even more influential.
I hope so. That's my plan. I want to help people.
Exactly. So, and again, it's scrolling across the bottom, coalforpearland.com. Go look us up. The Pear Plan is all there as well. And hit me up for questions, and I'll be sure to get back with you with as best of an answer as I can. So.
Yes. Well, fantastic. Again, I am so grateful that you came on here, and we'll have you again soon. And yes, hopefully this is going big, and I am able to promote other businesses and, small business owners. So if you know of any other business owner locally who would benefit from free advertising, I mean, who
Sure.
doesn't benefit from free advertising?
Sure.
Just so we can help spread the brand awareness and get you, as much exposure as possible.
Yep, that sounds good. I will. I'll send you names as I think them. If they come to me, I'll send you contacts and let y'all take it from there.
Perfect. Yes. Well, thank you again, and we'll be talking soon. And I hope everyone enjoyed this, and we will see y'all tomorrow.
All right. Good deal.
All right. Thank you, Kevin.
All right.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.